Hi, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jack, and today I am going to read post from subreddit r/maliciouscompliance. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video. You must get a doctor's note. I am a grown-ass man, and I can tell when I am sick. I know my body a little better than a doctor does in terms of recovery, and if it is something I'm not sure of, I will see a doctor. But my place of work has this silly rule that if you are going to be out 3 days you have to have a doctor's note. Anyway, I got food poisoning the other day. It was the middle of the night right before I was going to go in before it started to hit, and I knew what was coming. It was going to be 36 hours of running to the bathroom, followed by 24 hours of being super tired from not having eaten for the last 2 days and not having had any sleep for the last 48 hours. It's a full 3-day recovery for me. The first 36 really are the worst though. So I called in sick on Tuesday and Wednesday and was going to call in sick on Thursday too to get my much needed rest and be 100% for work on Friday. I know this is what was going to happen. But when I called in this morning I was told I have to get a doctor's note to miss this day. It's stupid because what is a doctor going to tell me that I don't already know? But my doctor also hates these types of rules, so she had my back. I went to her this morning and told her what my work said. She asked if maybe I might have had chills during my time being sick. So I said yes. She said she doesn't feel comfortable saying it was just food poisoning and is going to say it could have been a stomach flu. She's writing me a note to be out until Monday now. So now I have 2 days of just rest and relaxation followed by the weekend. Thanks for forcing me to go into the doctor. I'm an emergency room physician and a fair number of people come in just to get a doctor note. I actually appreciate the people who straight up say it rather than give me less than accurate symptoms that I have to work up and only realize later that they just needed a note. That's such bullshit, but also so incredibly common in states like mine which refuse to expand Medicaid. When I was delivering pizza I knew 4 people who had to spend hours in the to get a doctor's note to go back to their $4 per hour plus tips job. Of course now most of the local hospitals have had to close their emergency rooms and we have 12 urgent care clinics, but hey, that's just life in Texas. I used to work for local government. You had to have a doctor's note for any time you called out sick or left early due to sickness for you or your kids, period. If you didn't, you got a point against you, and you were only allowed 7 points per calendar year before you got a write-up for your point count. You also got a point if you were tardy. You also had to have a doctor's note specifically releasing you back to work if you were out for 3 days. If you did not have a doctor's note sent into HR via email before you stepped foot on the property to come back to work, you couldn't badge in for your next shift and would be marked tardy and given a point until you could provide your note. It was such a stupid process. Thankfully, I have some really awesome doctors who know me and would just write me a note, and the remote doctor programs are awesome and have come in really handy, too. This is a huge part of the reason I left my office job. Offices tend to be a high school with adults. It's honestly weird how your time, office, decorations, days off and attire are dictated by someone else. That is not unique to your work. The reasoning is that if you're sick enough to be out for 3 days straight, you should be cleared by a doctor to return to work. That way serious illnesses aren't brought into work to affect your co-workers. That may not have been the case in your particular instance. There are absolutely instances where people come back to work well before the point that they should have, bringing all sorts of terrible germs with them. Where I am, they charge for the note. The price can range from $30 minus $60 depending on the doctor's office. So not only do you have to call sick, taking a pay hit, you have to pay for the note, putting you even more behind. It's a bullshit policy that's in place to prevent abuse, but just punishes everyone. My job is like this but backward. If you're out for more than 3 days you need a note to come back to work. My brother was killed by a drunk driver last year and I called my husband at work to get him to come to the hospital to drive me home. His job wanted him to get a note from the hospital. I lost my shit. Same with me. I'm a medical student and for our clinical lessons we have only a specific number of unjustifiable leaves, excuse me for bad English. To be exact, we are allowed only 2 days off per semester. Luckily we are healthy and we use them only because we are bored. However, it happened to me to get sick. It was a virus and had some fever and diarrhea. As Op mentioned, it was not something life-threatening, but I was ultra weak and couldn't visit a doctor. I stayed in bed for a week, 5 days. Let's do the math. Monday and Tuesday I couldn't get off the bed, Wednesday I felt better, and on Thursday I visited the doctor, who gave me notice for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. For this one day, Wednesday, I got into lots of trouble. My supervisor thought that I was slacking and I had to contact with the professor so I could replace that day with another shift. Ever saw a student attending a night shift? Closing parenthesis. I managed restaurants, and still do if you deal with the public. Saying you have the squirts forces the employer to not allow you to work. Unfortunately, most employers in service industries are robots, and don't know the rules. I love the fact my DHEC agent knows that I do. And I love the fact she has been my DHEC agent the last 12 years. I worked a job that had a similar rule, but it was also one of the most stressful and emotionally draining professions I've ever had. It caused me major anxiety and as a result physical symptoms, mostly vomiting, that resulted in me being unable to work. Working 12-hour shifts and never seeing the sun, the 2 days off never seemed enough for recuperation. My doctor gave me a note for a week off work that also perfectly aligned with my 2-week vacation. After finally relaxing and recuperating, I realized that my mental health far outweighed the paycheck and handed my 2 weeks in the first day I got back. I used to work for a company that demanded a doctor's note for any call-in. The boss claimed you should know you're going to be sick the next day by the time you are leaving, so you could just take a vacation day. Like he gave us enough to have any sort of vacation and use some for illnesses. You had to be there 5 years to get a second week. The first time I got sick and called in, he was insisting I should just come in and shut the door to my office. I did it because I needed the job. Then a workmate got ill with something completely different a couple of days later, and the whole office blamed it on me. The next time I was ill, I was already in the process of job hunting. It was a Wednesday and I went to urgent care. The doctor asked me if I thought I could go back in Monday, and I laughed and said sure, thinking it was a joke. I ended up interviewing for a great job that Friday and gave my notice on Monday when I returned to work. As a former small business owner, we eventually had to implement this policy because employees were calling out sick and making the other staff compensate for them. It was also the weaker, unethical employees. We just didn't believe them, but we needed a policy that applied to everyone. It was never meant to be a hassle for the good employees. So, don't take it personally. The policy needed to be implemented because some employees are unethical. I had a job at a call center and I started barfing uncontrollably for 2 days. I had to call out and they let me go. There's no heart. As a correctional officer, I have to have the note saying I was unable to work. It also has to say, may return to work with no restrictions, or I can't come back. I know someone who only has 1 foot now. When she lost it, she called her boss to say she wasn't fit to CME to work. Her boss wanted a doctor's note. She sent them a picture of the stump, bone and all. Her boss still wanted a doctor's note. My company allows 5 days out without a note. On the 6th day, they'll require a note from the doctor and ask that you file for short-term medical leave, and you'll get paid 100% for the time missed instead of using your sick bank for up to 12 weeks. Where I work, we have a sick bank and a PTO bank. If you are sick, you have to use your PTO for 3 scheduled absences before you can use your sick bank. Conveniently, most people only tend to call out sick for about 3 days for most common colds, food poisoning or mild flus. So in essence, we never get to touch our sick bank unless we get hit really hard, effectively burning our vacation time for most sick calls. I work in government and there's a very similar policy to the poster above, but it only applies to union employees. Non-union staff have more lenient rules in place. Walmart had only 3. I was fired for having 3 widely spaced out absences over several months due to anxiety attacks over being threatened with a gun on the job. You know, not the best time to go wait in a doctor's office surrounded by strangers. When an employee is weeping under the customer service counter is not the best time to ask if they really need to go home or if they can just do their job. It was an ex and they said they were going to go kill my loved ones after they left. The manager heard this and wanted me to stay. Seriously, check for hidden demon tales on all Walmart managers during an interview there. It was brutal. I had a professor once who refused to accept a note from the student health center as an excused absence. What's the point of having a clinic if I'm going to have to go to a doc in the box anyway? I used to work as a scribe in the I tried to trade as many Monday shifts as possible because it was just a million people wanting sick notes. America is garbage. I don't know why immigrants still want to come here. Dying is better than healthcare debt. Schools are only brainwashing daycare centers. Politicians could moonlight as circus clowns. Everyone hates everyone. Are we the world's reality TV show? Tonight on America. That's it folks, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like if you did and click the bell icon to get notifications whenever I upload a video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel for more daily videos like this.